The SCHD Reconstitution in 2025 will make you very rich. SCHD needs little introduction, and for a good reason. It's arguably one of the best dividend ETFs that money can buy nowadays. SCHD has all the attributes for a high-quality dividend ETF, such as a low expense ratio of 0.06% over 3.5% dividend yield from large high-quality cash-flowing companies, and an over 11% compounded annual growth rate for its dividend payments over the last 5 and even 10 years. Kind of like getting a raise in your salary in the corporate world, which is impressive. Dividend growth is especially important for SCHD investors because if you plan on living off the SCHD or retiring off of this ETF along your investing journey, you need a growing dividend that can keep up with things like inflation, changes in your lifestyle in retirement, or expenses that might pile up along the way. A key takeaway besides the popularity of SCHD's attractive dividend is its performance of over 11% since the last decade and even over the last 5 years. But recently, over the last 3 years, SCHD's returns have slowed down significantly to just over 5% annually, while other ETFs in the growth, dividend, and a broad market category have enjoyed some of the best returns in most recent years, all while SCHD comes in underperforming at the back of the pack. Like many other shareholders of this ETF, even myself with around $4,000 of SCHD balance in my investing portfolio or around 135 shares, I'm looking forward to this year's SCHD annual reconstitution of this ETF scheduled on March 21st, 2025. Now this is a big deal already, because SCHD is already in huge value territory where it is actually very undervalued in my opinion, and it can actually outperform potentially other popular ETFs in the stock market in 2025. We're already seeing this unravel so far in 2025 as SCHD is doing just that, outperforming. Only a couple of months into the year, SCHD is beating other popular and high-quality long-term ETFs, even those in the growth category and broad market category, which is quite impressive so far. Maybe, just maybe, we could see SCHD make a huge reversal and an incredible comeback this year, especially with its future reconstitution coming up very shortly. The technology sector, specifically the Magnificent 7 tech stocks, have seen some slowdown so far this year in 2025, leaving value stocks like those in SCHD in a great position, prime position to increase in share price and potentially outperform this sector and even the whole stock market. Analysts forecast on tip ranks through year-end 2025 forecast an average price target for SCHD of $31.35, which is very reasonable and represents an over 11% upside in the stock or ETF price, where if we included the dividend, that would be an over 14% price return, which is not too shabby for SCHD. Additionally, a good amount of the stocks already in SCHD have some high upside potential, anywhere from the mid 20% range all the way up to the nearly 40% range upside this year, while only just a few of those stocks in the bearish side of the ETF barely have any huge downside potential. And remember, this is just a share price appreciation, so if we included the dividend, the downside would be less and the upside would be more, which is quite bullish for SCHD in 2025. Now, for those of you who don't know what SCHD's reconstitution even means, why it's important, or what the heck is going to go on with the ETF, I'm going to provide a quick explanation for you, so buckle up. What happens in any reconstitution of SCHD is the fund managers review the index's components and modify holdings that reflect changes to stocks in the index and the stock's quality. This involves things like dividend paying history, liquidity, and even price action. Often we see several new stocks added and a number of them removed. This can be a good thing to boost SCHD's dividend yield or even have better high quality stocks benefiting its long-term potential performance. We also see sizable reweightings of those that remain in the ETF. This has to do with changes to market cap and dividend yield. Based on the review and changes, the ETF is then updated, adding shares of those with higher weightings or newly added, and dumping those that move down the list or are removed entirely. The real benefit of SCHD's reconstitution is an almost immediate and positive impact to increase the dividend yield. Now, the impact to its long-term performance is something that we'll have to just wait and see. So if you already have a sizable position of SCHD, you'll be happy to know that SCHD will most likely increase that dividend yield and also boost its dividend growth, so you will have more passive income flowing to your account, which is such a great thing to have as an investor. Now, many of you should know how SCHD selects all of its stocks to get picked into the ETF, right? Well, if you don't, SCHD selects only from the top 50% of dividend-paying stocks after first screening for 10 consecutive years of dividend payments and excluding REITs. A Seeking Alpha analyst by the name of Sunday Investor said that the minimum dividend yield for a stock to be included in the next SCHD Reconstitution will be approximately 2.41% for its dividend yield. If accurate, this would spell the end for Home Depot and BlackRock, currently the number 7 and number 9 holdings in this ETF. Fastenal will also be deleted, while smaller holdings like Cincinnati Financial and Packaging Corporation of America could go either way. Other companies like Bristol Myers Squibb, Pfizer, and UPS might see getting cut on the chopping block as well, but we will have to wait and see if SCHG changes their mind on their selection of stocks out and in the ETF. The same Seeking Alpha writer projects SCHD to have an expected dividend yield of over 4% for its dividend, which will be super impressive and a huge payday for SCHD investors. Now, some investors might even agree or even disagree with me on how I prefer and actually like how SCHD replaces its lower yielding stocks with higher yielding ones. It makes ETFs like this a very efficient product where you can actually use your dividend portfolio to supercharge it with SCHD. You don't have to sell any shares or incur a bunch of taxes, which can be costly. With all of this in mind, SCHD's dividend yield will most likely increase and go up as a direct result of the reconstitution, meaning more passive income, higher dividend payments, and more money in your pocket. This historical strong and great performance of dividend growth will most likely continue as well as a result of the SCHD reconstitution replacing lower yielding dividend stocks with higher yielders. In terms of capital appreciation, this year could be the prime year for value stocks that aren't growth or even tech stocks. In my opinion, those stocks are quite overvalued, where SCHD is in prime position to capture this great opportunity from having mostly, if not all of its stocks being value stocks. Tech stocks are rumored to be overvalued and may weigh down on the returns of the market. Since SCHD's reconstitution looks to replace lower yielding stocks with higher yielding ones, most higher yielding dividend stocks with a higher yield aren't tech or even growth stocks. Or if you want to do what I do, which is blend this ETF and pair with other amazing ETFs to have the best of both worlds of growth and income, you can do what I do, which is have growth stocks and even value stocks from owning what I own, like VU, which is an S&P 500 ETF that has a very low fund overlap, pairing it with SCHD, or a growth ETF, which is also a perfect combination, my favorite that I own being SCHG. All in all, in conclusion, this is all bullish for SCHD both in the short term and potentially as well in the long term, where a lot of investors have been dollar cost averaging into this ETF through the good and bad times. Even though I have around $170,000 in ETFs across my whole entire portfolio, I've been dollar cost averaging a lot more into SCHD this year. Now, if you want to see exactly when I buy my ETFs, you can see my entire ETF portfolio, as well as ask me any questions about ETFs along the way along your investing journey. You could do it on the Blossom app for completely free. Yes, free on the Blossom app. So go ahead and download the Blossom app using the link in the description of this video, and I'll see you there on Blossom. Now, if you guys like this video, please give it a like because this cute puppy did. Now, right here's going to be my full and ultimate guide on investing in SCHD for beginners or even experienced level investors. So go ahead and check out that video. I love you guys so much. Continue to crush in the stock market and take it easy. Peace.